120-113, your final score tonight for the Sacramento Kings of the Cleveland Cavaliers at Rocket Arena, and Spencer Davies is on the scene. Get a chance to recap it with him. It's been an interesting game. It was supposed to be clinching day for the number one overall seed in the Eastern Conference. Doesn't come to fruition as the Cavs obviously fall short. But I think one of the big takeaways from this game, and we can get obviously into more specific performances from individuals, but I think at the end of this game, there was a lot of controversy about just some of the calls that were being made on the floor. I'm curious from your standpoint, like what was kind of said after the game about some of the way things went down late in this one.
Well, I think that the guys and obviously Kenny Atkinson knew that was really important, that Zach LaVine didn't get called for that, 24-second violation at the end. That was obviously a big call in that moment because it's still a two-possession game. You have plenty of opportunity to get back. But it was just one of those nights where the Cavs just could not make anything from beyond the arc tonight. It just was not their evening as far as the perimeter goes. They actually shot above 52% tonight, so they were having their way in the paint, almost damn near 70 points in the paint, but just way, way, way too much DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine in that game. And, of course, in the first half, Domas Sabonis setting the tone all around as a scorer, as a passer, and obviously as a rebounder. So, not what you want to see on this type of day. Kenny did say that he thought that they didn't have the right kind of energy and get up for a game where they could have clinched the number one seed, but also understands that Sacramento's fighting for their life.
Yeah.
And they're right there on the cusp of the play-in, and got to make sure that they stay in the hunt and doing their thing to get a postseason opportunity. So, them's the break sometimes, but I'm disappointed in the Cavs in this one tonight, to be honest with you.
For those of you stopping by, we appreciate you hanging out with us here for a few minutes. TV's on site, as I mentioned. Spencer German back at home. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to the Cleveland Cavaliers and SI YouTube channel, where many of you might be watching this right now. And obviously for more content like this, including post-game press conferences that Spencer's already got up there from the arena tonight. But yeah, I mean, Spin, you mentioned it, like the Kings, last time the Cavs played them, they were sort of fighting for the playoffs live. Same thing applies a couple weeks later here in Cleveland. And they sort of had the spark that the Cavaliers didn't have, like you alluded to, didn't come out with the best energy, as Kenny pointed out. But they still, like they tend to do, made it interesting at the end, gave themselves a chance. But yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest discrepancies that you'll look at on the box score is just the fact that the Cavs shot 26% from three, and the starters, which that's the group you're looking to be able to sort of contribute from out there the most, they were 4 of 21 by my count from beyond the arc, and that's just not going to get it done when that group of guys that you're depending on so much can't knock down those outside shots. We know how much this team is dependent on those. They really need that's a big part of their game. And it doesn't have to be like any individual person. It's always kind of spread out pretty evenly. Like guys just are able to knock those shots down. And it felt like in that fourth quarter, they got a little bit of a spark from outside the arc, but it wasn't enough, obviously, late to get them over the hump.
Yeah, Max made his first one falling out of bounds in the corner. That was actually
crazy.
That was
his
700th career, by the way, for Max. So congratulations to him on that. But yeah, they just could not really hit. And the microcosm of the game, as Kenny put it, was when they were still down by, I think it was 5, and they had something around like 20-something seconds left, and they got good looks. They got 3-point look, offensive rebound, back out to the corner, offensive rebound. No, again, offensive rebound. And then it was Darius and Donovan just rotating missed shots. And it was just like, okay, at this point, this is the way the game's going. And, the Kings are going to end this up here at the free throw line on the other side. And that's going to be the game. So, just there's other things that are kind of bothering me, I think, about the squad as of late. That's starting to come to fruition for me. It's, I think that
elaborate.
Well, I just think the energy thing, I understand that in March. The way they closed the other night against San Antonio is not indicative of who they are, but that kind of trickled into this game, I think. I did not see they don't have the killer instinct right now. And I think you got to get that back before you get to April to mid-April, I should say. Because that's going to be necessary in the postseason. If you let teams hang around, they're going to punish you. And, I mean, I think that happened with the Kings tonight. I think that happened in San Antonio the other night. you can't mess with the game like that. You got to keep the foot on the gas. You can't let up. As Darius likes to put it, keep their foot on their necks. So that's something that I have not seen from them in quite some time, even amongst some of the better wins, that they need to get back, to be honest.
I think that's a good point, and I'll say this: I don't want this to be a sound the alarms moment, but if you're noticing something that's concerning, I think it certainly speaks to it being a something that people should be aware of, is maybe the way to put it. Because I know the way you go about covering this team. I know you're usually pretty measured in the way that you view things. And so if you're starting to sort of get some concerns there, I think it's worth noting. It's worth bringing up on this platform. And I'm sure there are fans who feel the same way you do. I think the game the other night was indicative of that. I think today, to your point, was indicative of that. And yeah, like there is a level of, in March, it's a grueling month for the season. They're not the only team that go to March, but you also can't have bad habits going into the playoffs. Like, you got to sort of get that back now in April with only a couple games to go. And so they have 4 games to still sort of figure that out. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, that's the last 2 games have sort of shown something that I think should be noted by Cavs fans. And if you're a little bit worried about it, I would understand that 100%.
And, Donovan kind of pointed to them trying some new things out. Like, we saw another new lineup tonight with DeAndre Hunter at the 4 and JA at the 5. I think Isaac was in there with Donovan, and I think it was Sam too. So like we're seeing still all sorts of combinations. We did not see Chuma Okeke tonight, so I was kind of hoping that we would have seen him in one of these games coming up, just because he's another guy that they just brought in to round out the roster. Somebody that's going to give you a lot of rebounds, but also just kind of a bigger frame in that 3/4 position. So looking forward to seeing what Chuma brings to the table, hopefully sometime soon. But yeah, this was just a game. You gotta come up for this one. This is the one that you have an opportunity to clinch the top seed in the Eastern Conference. And on top of that, the Lakers ended up beating the Thunder tonight.
That was huge.
And that could have gotten you closer to the top overall seed. So just those things kind of bothersome to me. Let's move on to the positives, though.
No, yeah, I was going to throw out real quickly. You mentioned a couple of the Kings guys. Zach LaVine had a tremendous game, 37 points. DeMar DeRozan, it feels like in the 2 games he's played against the Cavs, has kind of been a Cavs killer. 28 points for him, and I think he had like 9 in the 4th quarter. So he put on a nice show yet again. On the Cavs side of things, 19 points for Donovan Mitchell, who again struggled from 3. 17 for Jared Allen, 16 for Evan Mobley. Mobley and Mitchell towards the end of the game sort of came alive. They combined for 10 points. So you could tell they're trying to sort of carry the team towards the end a little bit and put some of the brunt of the pressure on themselves, which was good to see. We obviously got to get to, I don't want to say the elephant in the room, but we got to get to Ty Jerome's performance, because he led all scorers with 20. But staying on Mitchell here for a second, Spence, I know he obviously came back in the game, but did they say anything afterwards about the injury that he sustained that had him leave the game momentarily?
So he was limping around on it in the locker room. It's his left ankle. What happened was he ended up stepping onto Keon Ellis, and it wasn't even on the play where he fell down. It was the play before it. He had just been defending Keon on the way to the rim, got up, and then ended up stepping on the back of Keon Ellis's foot. So then he got back down, and then obviously crumpled in that front row right over there. And, silence came over this place because a lot of people thought it was going to be really bad. He's limping on it, but I will say, like, it didn't look like it was going to be anything as serious as most of us thought in the audience. So that's a good thing. Kenny anticipates it being the same way. He doesn't think he's going to see. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow when Donovan wakes up. You know what adrenaline can do, and you play throughout the rest of the game. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be anything like super crazy when it comes to that. And, it's another dodging the bullet situation for the Cavs, because obviously Donovan is their unquestioned leader in that locker room.
Well, and that's obviously one of the big talking points that we've hit on, fans have hit on. Like, do you chase other aspirations at that? Up until today, they still could have had the best record in franchise history. If they got to 67 wins, that's now off the table. But like, do you chase some of those things, or is it about keeping guys in bubble wrap? And I'm sure, like you said, there was a hush over the crowd. You could sense that on TV as well, that people were a little bit concerned there. The fact that he came back was exciting. But one of those situations where If this means put Donovan Mitchell in bubble wrap till the end of the season, you'll do it because you just want to make sure he gets postseason healthy. But let's get to Ty Jerome because he was back tonight and obviously a welcome sight. Somebody who's such a key member of this team coming off the bench, a spark for them. And he dropped 20 points, hit a couple of massive shots, especially down the stretch, came up really big for the Cavaliers. Just what was sort of from your perspective, like what'd you like about Ty Jerome getting reinserted back into this rotation and in his performance tonight?
He hit 8 floaters. He went 8 of 9 on floaters. I think that was the best part. It was like, all right, that's what they've been missing on offense. Ty just getting to the middle of the floor and just teardropping that thing right in. He's just so good at it. Different angles. He had 1-and-1 where I have no idea how the ball went in. He is just so good at just having touch on that floater. I will say, I think that when Ty is on the floor, there's just a certain amount of organization that the Cavs have, and he is a critical part of what they do. And him and DeAndre Hunter, when they come into the game, they really change it. And that's something they have been missing. I'll say that. But also, I think that Ty playing with DG and Ty playing with Don, and sometimes both of them, like they were in the fourth quarter, I think is such a good thing for the Cavs offense to have different ball handling options. And that's going to be key when it comes to the postseason. Now, tonight, I would have bet everything that Ty Jerome would have finished that game over either Darius Garland or Max Strus had it not been for a minute restriction. I think that he was just balling on all fronts there and had it really going, and the confidence was there. It's just one of those things where he hit 23 minutes and Kenny had to yank him. There was no choice because he's coming back from that knee tendonitis that he's been dealing with in the left leg. So it's just one of those things that's unfortunate because he had it really going. But, he was really solid tonight offensively. I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, and as we alluded to earlier, such a part of this team. Good to see him get back out there, and Kenny playing it safe with him as well as some of these other guys, and we'll see what that looks like over the final 4 games. If they had clinched the 1 seed today, it would have been interesting. Like you said, Spence, it would have been interesting with the Thunder losing. If they would force the issue to try to even get the top seed in the NBA overall. Because they only would have been a game behind, and they have the tiebreaker right now because of record in conference. So it would have been interesting to see how they would have approached that. Now you go into a situation where both teams have 4 games left. The Thunder still have a 2-game lead in that regard, so they'd have to lose a couple here. They do play the Lakers again, so I guess there's a chance they could. You're still trying to close down the top seed in the Eastern Conference, which you'll get a chance to do on Tuesday. I would guess they're going to come out with a different sense of energy on Tuesday, given how the last couple games have gone. We will see. But chance to sort of close that out, and then we'll see where the chips fall from there. But my guess is that Kenny Atkinson will continue to sort of play fear, get guys off their feet. Jared Allen the other night only played a half because they're trying to let him get to his 82 games, but not get him hurt in the process. So we'll see what sort of iteration of the Cavaliers are out there on Tuesday night. But I'm guessing there will be a sense of energy to finish up that task that they obviously have high in their goals list for the season.
Need that sense of urgency coming out because especially there's a chance that these Bulls is who they see as the 8th seed.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works in the
point.
play-in tournament. So got to come out, be ready to go. Got to defend Josh Giddey. He's been playing hella good ball. Kobe White, same thing. Got to make sure that they don't go off the way that DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Domas Sabonis went today. Because, man, I'll tell you what, as much as I'm being negative right now about the Cavs, in that fourth quarter, LaVine and DeRozan were making some tough shots.
Yeah.
DeRozan contested threes. LaVine contested mid-rangers. Like, the reason that they were able to make those shots is because the third quarter allowed them to kind of see the ball go in. The third was also really kind of wonky because once the team saw Donovan go down, you just kind of felt an air kind of go a little bit sideways. Maybe, in the crowd, also on the bench. Like, when you see your teammate go down like that, you're obviously worried and maybe you're not going through the motions, but you're affected by it. So I think that also had to do with getting DeMar and LaVine going because they just attacked, saw the ball go in. And then in the fourth, by that time, even when you were playing good defense and you were contesting, then it was already over there because they were just locked in and hitting their shots, man. I was making a joke up in press row. I was like, I guess we're just seeing what the Bulls could have had, because the old Bulls are the ones that are putting the Cavs away right now. So Just a tough one tonight, and they definitely have to come out with a sense of urgency on Tuesday, no doubt.
Before we get out of here, I think we got a fun question from our guy, JB Smooth, James Bridges. He says, is this
JB.
considered a bad loss? I can't think of many they've had this year, but that it felt like that today. I think that's a fair question. I'm with you, Spence. Like, as I was reading this when it came in from James, I'm sitting there thinking back to like throughout the season. I mean, there's only been 16 losses. It's not like we have a lot to choose from. But I'm like going back through the list, and I'm like, have there been any where we walked away feeling like it was like a bad loss? I mean, maybe early on against the Hawks, maybe those two sort of felt that way, but it was early in the season, and we kind of knew that the win streak was going to come to an end. So I can't think. I mean, during the losing streak, like we talked about, the Clippers were fighting for their lives, the Kings were fighting for their lives. The Orlando game, you just kind of let it get away from you. It was a tough game. Maybe the Suns, because you feel like maybe you should have beat them. I don't know, but this feels like one of the worst ones of the season for sure.
I would say both Kings losses, and then the game at Philly.
The Kings, in
February.
The Kings one's a good one because the first Kings one's another good answer because it felt like they gave that game away. Yeah, you're right about that. So honestly, those might be the top two for the season, or the two against Sacramento, which is interesting.
And then in Philly, when Ty Jerome went absolutely nuts, they shot, I think, above 53% in that game and still lost. That was like 132, 129 or something like that against the Sixers in Philly. It was on a back-to-back. I do remember that, but that was in the midst. Yeah. That was in the midst of the losing streak, though, because they lost to the Rockets.
That's right.
And then they lost to Philly, and then they lost to the Rockets again. So
yeah, that was the 3-game losing streak back earlier in the season. You're right. Yeah, I think those three probably are the best answers. I kind of forgot about the Philly one, honestly. Yeah. But yeah, I think those the two Kings losses and that Philly one might be the only ones, because some of the other ones, it's like, yeah, you got blown up by the Thunder, you lost to the Celtics twice, that makes sense. The Hawks early in the season you can maybe talk about, but like still, again, it was early, whatever. Different team now too, because you have DeAndre Hunter in the lineup who you got from them. So it's I think that's a pretty good answer to that question, I think, Spence. But we'll see if they can respond on Tuesday. Massive game against the Bulls, like you said, maybe a preview of what's to come in the first round of the playoffs. Also a chance to finally lock down that number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which would be a big deal for Cleveland. I will be there alongside Spence to cover it for you. We encourage you to continue following along here at the Cleveland Cavaliers and SI YouTube channel. Again, check out the post-game comments from JB. Oh man, what am I doing? Kenny Atkinson. Kenny Atkinson and Donovan Mitchell.
Ty Jerome and
was there anybody else?
Ty Jerome and Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. Yep. So check out those. Head on over to si.com/NBA/Cavaliers as well, where you can see any written content for the site. And we'll continue to have more stuff coming for you, including another episode of Courtside with the Cavs and a little bit later in the week as well. So thanks for stopping by, spending some time with us on a Sunday night. Let's let you go get some sleep and get ready for the week ahead, which should include, hopefully, the Cavaliers putting the finishing touches on what's been a tremendous season in the final week of the regular season. For Spencer Davies, I'm Spencer German. Keep on following along with all things Cavaliers with the Cleveland Cavaliers on SI.